What if everything you thought you knew about the Earth's poles was wrong? What if beyond the ice and snow, beyond the howling winds and the endless night, lay something else entirely? A hidden world, perhaps, or a gateway to another dimension. Tonight, we won't be chasing those thrilling theories on Snooze stories. Instead, we will find our peace in the slow, deliberate, almost meditative practice of charting those frozen landscapes. We'll explore the meticulous work of the cartographers, the painstaking process of mapping the seemingly unmappable, the creation of maps depicting what lies beyond the poles. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to Snooze Stories for more calming content designed to help you drift off to sleep. Oh, dim the lights. Imagine a blank page, the crisp white symbolizing the vast unknown. Then, slowly, lines begin to appear. Faint at first, tentative sketches of coastlines shrouded in ice, the careful plotting of mountain ranges buried beneath snow. Tonight on Snooze Stories, we journey into the world of polar cartography, tracing the intricate lines that define the edges of our world, and perhaps hint at what lies beyond. But before those lines were drawn, before the compass pointed north, before the sextant measured the sun's arc across a frozen sky, there were stories. Whispers in the frozen dark, tales spun around flickering fires, of lands beyond the reach of the sun, of peoples who lived in perpetual twilight, of strange creatures in impossible landscapes. Tonight, we journey even further back, before the maps, into the realm of myth and legend, into the very first human imaginings of what might lie beyond the edges of the known world. Close your eyes and imagine the crackling firelight on the walls of a cave, casting dancing shadows that morph into fantastical shapes. Listen to the low, rhythmic voice of the storyteller, weaving tales of Hyperborea, a land spoken of by the ancient Greeks, a land beyond the north wind, bathed in perpetual sunshine, a paradise where the sun set only once a year. Imagine a people blessed with extraordinary longevity, living in a state of perfect happiness, untouched by war or disease. Picture their magnificent cities, adorned with gold and precious jewels, their gardens overflowing with exotic fruits and flowers. Let the image of this utopian realm, bathed in a warm, golden light, soothe your mind and ease your body into deeper relaxation. Feel the chill wind whispering through the pines as we shift our focus north to the icy realms of Norse mythology. Hear the creaking of glaciers, the groan of ice floes grinding against each other in the frozen sea. Here, in the land of Niflheim, the primordial world of ice and mist, we find a stark contrast to the sun-kissed Hyperborea. Picture the frozen rivers, the jagged ice mountains, the dark, oppressive sky. Sense the cold seeping into your bones, a cold so profound it numbs the very soul. But even in this desolate landscape, there are stories. Tales of frost giants and ice maidens, of mythical beasts and hidden realms. Let the stark beauty of this frozen world, its silence broken only by the wind's mournful howl, lull you into a state of tranquil stillness. Now journey with us to the lands where myth and reality intertwine, where the stories are not just ancient whispers, but living traditions. Imagine the vast expanse of the Arctic, a mosaic of ice and snow, stretching as far as the eye can see. Hear the rhythmic chanting of the Inuit elders, their voices carrying across the frozen plains, telling stories of Sedna, the goddess of the sea, and her dominion over the creatures of the deep. Visualize the intricate carvings on bone and ivory, each telling a story, each preserving a fragment of a culture deeply connected to the Arctic landscape. Feel the deep respect for the natural world woven into these narratives, the understanding of the delicate balance between humans and their environment. Let the wisdom of these ancient traditions, passed down through generations, wash over you, bringing a sense of peace and connectedness. Shift your focus to the southernmost reaches of our planet, to the land of perpetual ice and snow known as Antarctica. Although seemingly untouched by human presence until relatively recent times, the Antarctic too holds a place in the realm of myth and legend. Indigenous cultures in South America and Australia separated by vast oceans, have stories of a great white land in the south. These tales, passed down through oral traditions, speak of a land of mystery, a place of powerful spirits and untold secrets. Imagine the long nights, illuminated by the ethereal glow of the aurora australis, the southern lights dancing across the sky, painting the ice in shifting hues of green and pink. Let the mystery of this untouched continent, its secrets still largely unexplored, draw you deeper into a state of peaceful contemplation. As we drift back from these icy realms, back from the whispers in the frozen dark, let us remember that these stories, these myths and legends, represent humanity's enduring fascination with the unknown. They are a testament to our innate curiosity, our desire to explore, to understand the world around us, even the most remote and inhospitable corners of our planet. These tales, passed down through generations, laid the groundwork for the expeditions that would follow, for the meticulous charting of these frozen landscapes. They are the first tentative steps into a world shrouded in ice and mystery, a world that continues to captivate and inspire us to this day. And as you drift off to sleep, let these ancient whispers carry you away into a world of dreams as vast and mysterious as the polar landscapes themselves. Let the chill of the ice and the warmth of the firelight blend together, creating a sense of perfect balance, a perfect harmony that lulls you into a deep and restful sleep. A world that continues to captivate and inspire us to this day, and as the whispers fade, a new era dawns, an era driven not by myth and legend, but by the burgeoning thirst for knowledge, the desire to chart the unknown, to conquer the icy fortresses guarding the poles. Feel the chill wind shift, carrying with it the scent of salt spray and the creak of wooden ships. The age of heroic exploration is upon us. Imagine the bustling ports of Europe in the 15th and 16th centuries, alive with activity, the air thick with the smell of tar and timber. Hear the cries of the gulls overhead, mingling with the shouts of sailors and the clang of hammers on wood. Visualize the tall ships, their sails billowing in the wind, ready to embark on perilous journeys into the unknown. The lure of the Northwest Passage, a fabled sea route through the Arctic archipelago connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, beckoned explorers like a siren's song. The promise of shorter trade routes to the riches of the East spurred monarchs to fund expeditions, driving brave, if sometimes misguided souls into the icy embrace of the Arctic. Picture the Carrack ships, sturdy and strong, pushing their way through the treacherous ice floes. Feel the biting cold wind whipping across the deck, the spray of icy water stinging your face. Hear the groan of the timbers as the ship is squeezed by the relentless pressure of the ice. Visualize men bundled in thick furs, their faces weathered and worn, battling the elements with grim determination. Follow the journeys of men like Martin Frobisher, whose 3 voyages in search of the Northwest Passage in the late 16th century, though ultimately unsuccessful, brought back tales of icy landscapes and encounters with the Inuit people. Imagine the Inuit, in their kayaks, navigating the icy waters with effortless grace, their knowledge of the Arctic environment a stark contrast to the bewildered Europeans. The search for the Northeast Passage, an equally elusive sea route along the northern coast of Eurasia, also captivated the minds of explorers. Visualize the Dutch ships, their distinctive flags fluttering in the Arctic wind, venturing into the Kara Sea, charting the coastlines of Siberia. Hear the rhythmic chanting of Russian Pomors, indigenous people of the White Sea coast, their voices carrying across the frozen plains, guiding the explorers through the treacherous waters. Feel the isolation of these remote regions, the vast emptiness of the Arctic landscape stretching out in all directions. As the centuries progressed, the focus of polar exploration shifted from the purely economic to the scientific. The 18th and 19th centuries saw a surge in expeditions driven by a desire to understand the Earth's magnetic field, to study the unique flora and fauna of the polar regions, and to expand the boundaries of human knowledge. Imagine the meticulous charting of coastlines, the careful collection of specimens, the painstaking observations of the aurora borealis dancing across the Arctic sky. Picture Captain James Cook, his ship, HMS Resolution, navigating the icy waters of the Bering Strait, his crew battling scurvy and extreme cold as they pushed further north than any European had ventured before. Feel the chill deepen as we follow the ill-fated expedition of Sir John Franklin, his two ships, HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, disappearing into the icy labyrinth of the Northwest Passage in 1845. Imagine the hope and anticipation that accompanied their departure, the slow descent into despair as years passed with no word of their fate. Visualize the search parties, their ships braving the same treacherous waters, searching for any sign of the lost expedition. Hear the mournful cries of the wind whistling through the rigging, a lament for the lost souls. The discovery of the remnants of Franklin's expedition, decades later, painted a grim picture of starvation, disease, and desperation. Imagine the chilling silence of the abandoned ships, frozen in the ice, the personal belongings of the crew scattered across the desolate landscape. Feel the weight of tragedy, the profound sense of loss that permeated the Arctic air. Let the story of Franklin's expedition serve as a stark reminder of the unforgiving nature of the polar regions, the immense challenges faced by those who dared to venture into their icy grip. But even in the face of tragedy, the human spirit remained undeterred. The quest for knowledge, the drive to explore, continued to push explorers further into the unknown. Visualize the small, sturdy ships, their sails billowing against the backdrop of towering icebergs, their crews pushing the boundaries of human endurance. Hear the crackle of the ice, the howl of the wind, the cries of the seabirds circling overhead. Feel the exhilaration of discovery, the sense of awe inspired by the vastness and beauty of the polar landscapes. As we drift closer to the dawn of the 20th century, a new era of polar exploration is about to begin. An era of technological advancements, of daring expeditions by land and air, of a deeper understanding of the delicate balance of these icy realms. Let the stories of these early explorers, their triumphs and tragedies, lull you into a deeper state of relaxation, their journeys fading into the gentle rhythm of your breath, the soft whisper of the wind, carrying you further into the realm of dreams, and deeper into the realm of dreams. The dawn of the 20th century brought with it a new fervor, a palpable shift from scientific exploration to a race, a thrilling yet perilous competition to reach the very ends of the earth. Imagine the hushed whispers in smoky back rooms, maps unfurled under the flickering gaslight, plans hatched. With a mixture of ambition and trepidation, the North Pole, that elusive point at the top of the world, beckoned with an irresistible allure. Visualize Roald Amundsen, the steely-eyed Norwegian, his face weathered by years of battling the elements. Feel the quiet determination emanating from him, his meticulous planning, his unwavering focus on reaching the pole. Picture his ship, the Fram, specially designed to withstand the crushing pressure of the Arctic ice, its sturdy hull groaning softly as it pushes through the frozen sea. Imagine the dogs, their thick fur protecting them from the biting wind, their powerful legs propelling the sledges across the snow-covered expanse. Hear the rhythmic panting of the dogs, the swish of the sled runners, the crunch of snow underfoot. Feel the increasing cold as Amundsen and his team push further north, the sun a pale disk in the perpetual twilight. Visualize the vast, empty landscape, the endless white stretching out in all directions. The only features the jagged peaks of ice formations and the swirling patterns of wind-blown snow. Imagine the long, arduous days, the nights spent huddled in tents, the constant battle against frostbite and the gnawing hunger. Feel the weight of their supplies dwindling, the pressure mounting as they inch closer to their goal. Then, on December 14, 1911, visualize Amundsen and his men standing at the North Pole, a point marked only by their instruments and their presence. Feel the sense of triumph, the quiet satisfaction of achieving what so many had attempted before. Imagine the planting of the Norwegian flag, a splash of vibrant color against the stark white landscape, a testament to human endurance and determination. Now shift your focus to Robert Falcon Scott, the British naval officer, his expedition, unfolding in parallel to Amundsen's, yet destined for a tragically different outcome. Picture Scott's ship, the Terra Nova, battling the treacherous waters of the Ross Sea, the waves crashing against the hull, the icy wind whipping across the deck. Imagine the ponies, struggling to pull the heavy sledges across the soft snow, their breath clouding the frigid air. Feel the increasing desperation as Scott and his team push onward, the weather turning against them, the temperatures plummeting. Visualize the blizzards, the blinding snow reducing visibility to near zero, the wind howling like a banshee, tearing at their tents. Imagine the frostbite creeping up their fingers and toes, the gnawing hunger sapping their strength. Hear the disheartened sighs as they finally reach the South Pole, only to discover the Norwegian flag already planted there. Feel the crushing disappointment, the realization that they were second, the long, arduous journey having been for naught. Picture the weary men, their faces etched with exhaustion and despair, turning back towards their base camp, their hopes dashed against the icy reality of the Antarctic wilderness. Imagine the slow, agonizing retreat, the dwindling supplies, the mounting fatigue. Visualize the blizzards trapping them in their tents, the frostbite deepening, the hunger intensifying. Hear the whispered conversations, the growing despair, the quiet acceptance of their fate. Feel the chilling cold as one by one Scott and his men succumb to the elements, their bodies slowly freezing in the icy embrace of the Antarctic. Imagine the last entry in Scott's diary, a poignant testament to his courage and his unwavering spirit. Now let us briefly turn our attention northward once more, to the claims of Frederick Cook and Robert Peary, both vying for the honor of being the first to reach the North Pole. Imagine the controversy surrounding their claims, the debates over their navigational methods, the uncertainty that continues to shroud their accomplishments. Feel the ambiguity, the lack of definitive proof, the questions that linger in the historical record. Picture the blurry photographs, the conflicting accounts, the whispers of doubt that echo through the annals of polar exploration. Let these stories, these triumphs and tragedies, settle into your mind like snowflakes gently falling on a still winter night. The images of these brave explorers, their struggles and their sacrifices, their hopes and their despair, will slowly fade into the background as you drift further into the realm of slumber. The rhythmic crunch of snow underfoot, the howl of the wind, the creak of the ice, will transform into the gentle sounds of your own breath, the steady beat of your heart, lulling you into a deep and restful sleep. The race to the poles marked a pivotal moment in human history, a testament to the enduring human spirit, the insatiable thirst for knowledge, and the relentless drive to explore the unknown. Let these stories, these echoes of the past, carry you further into the stillness of the night, the quiet embrace of dreams. The echoes of these heroic and sometimes tragic expeditions gradually fade, leaving behind a hushed reverence for the polar regions. The focus shifts, subtly at first, from the thrill of conquest to the quiet pursuit of understanding. Imagine the crisp, clean air of the early 20th century, the scent of pine tar and canvas on the decks of newly outfitted research vessels. Feel the gentle rocking of the ship as it cuts through the icy waters, the rhythmic churn of the propeller, a constant soothing drone. Visualize scientists, bundled in thick woolen coats and fur-lined hoods, their breath forming small clouds in the frigid air. Hear the quiet murmur of their conversations, the rustle of charts and notebooks, the click of scientific instruments. Picture the construction of the first permanent research stations, small outposts of civilization, clinging to the edge of the vast icy wilderness. Imagine the hammering of nails, the sawing of wood, the shouts of men coordinating their efforts against the backdrop of the silent, white landscape. Visualize the warm glow of lamplight spilling from the windows of the newly built huts, beacons of human ingenuity in the desolate expanse. Feel the contrast between the warmth inside and the biting cold outside, a sanctuary against the harsh elements. Now, shift your focus to the meticulous work of the scientists, the careful observation of the unique flora and fauna of these extreme environments. Imagine the delicate brushstrokes of watercolor paintings, capturing the subtle hues of the polar sky, the detailed sketches of newly discovered species, the precise measurements recorded in meticulously kept logbooks. Hear the scratch of pen on paper, the quiet click of camera shutters. the soft murmur of scientific discourse. Visualize the study of the aurora borealis, the ethereal curtains of light dancing across the night sky. Imagine the vibrant greens and blues shimmering and shifting, the silent spectacle inspiring awe and wonder. Feel the stillness of the polar night, the vastness of the starry sky, the sense of being a small part of a much larger universe. Picture the mapping of the polar ice caps, the painstaking process of charting the vast expanse of ice and snow. Imagine the sled dogs pulling their heavy loads across the frozen landscape, the rhythmic panting of their breath, the swish of the sled runners. Hear the creak and groan of the ice, the whisper of the wind across the snow-covered plains. Visualize the study of the unique ecosystems of the polar regions, the intricate web of life that thrives in these seemingly inhospitable environments. Imagine the penguins waddling across the ice, their black and white plumage stark against the white backdrop. Hear the raucous calls of seabirds, the splash of seals diving into the icy water, the low rumble of whales surfacing to breathe. Picture the collection of ice cores, long cylinders of ice extracted from deep within the ice sheets, containing a frozen record of Earth's climate history. Imagine the scientists carefully handling these precious samples, their gloved hands brushing against the cold, smooth surface. Hear the whir of the drills, the clinking of ice against metal, the hushed excitement of scientific discovery. Visualize the study of the ocean currents, the complex patterns of water circulation that influence global climate. Imagine the deployment of buoys and other instruments, the collection of data on water temperature, salinity, and currents. Hear the gentle lapping of waves against the ice, the distant rumble of calving glaciers, the constant, subtle movement of the ocean. Now shift your focus to the growing understanding of the polar region's crucial role in global climate regulation. Imagine the scientists analyzing data, piecing together the complex puzzle of climate change. Hear the murmur of their discussions, a rustle of scientific papers, the click of computer keys. Visualize the increasing awareness of the fragility of these unique ecosystems, the potential impact of human activities on the delicate balance of life in the polar regions. Imagine the concern etched on the faces of the scientists, the urgency in their voices, the growing call for action to protect these pristine environments. Feel the weight of responsibility, the shared concern for the future of our planet. Picture the international collaborations, the sharing of knowledge and resources, the united effort to understand and protect the polar regions. Imagine scientists from different countries working together, their diverse backgrounds and perspectives contributing to a greater understanding of the complex challenges facing our planet. Hear the multilingual conversations, the exchange of ideas, the growing sense of global community. Let these images of scientific exploration and discovery, the quiet pursuit of knowledge, the dedication to understanding and protecting our planet, lull you into a deeper state of relaxation. The rhythmic sounds of scientific instruments, the murmur of scholarly discussions, the gentle rocking of the ship on the icy waters will blend with the rhythm of your own breath, the steady beat of your heart, carrying you further into the tranquil embrace of sleep. The growing sense of global community. But this nascent cooperation, this shared pursuit of knowledge in the desolate beauty of the poles, was soon to be overshadowed by the chilling winds of global conflict. The world beyond the ice was changing, fracturing along ideological lines, and these fractures extended even to the remotest corners of the Earth. The quiet hum of scientific instruments began to be interspersed with the distant drone of aircraft, a subtle shift in the soundscape that heralded a new era. Imagine the sky, once a canvas for the ethereal dance of the aurora, now traversed by the contrails of military planes, thin white lines etched against the vast blue expanse. Hear the rumble of powerful engines, a low, persistent thrum that vibrates through the icy air, a stark contrast to the natural sounds of the polar environment. The Cold War had reached the poles. Visualize the construction of new bases, not for scientific research, but for military strategy. Imagine the heavy machinery carving into the permafrost, the clang of metal against ice, the shouts of men coordinating the complex logistics of building in this extreme environment. Feel the tension in the air, a palpable shift from the peaceful pursuit of knowledge to the strategic positioning of power. Picture the arrival of military personnel, their uniforms a stark contrast to the parkas of the scientists. Hear the crisp commands, the marching boots crunching on the frozen ground, the metallic click of weapons being secured. The polar landscape, once a sanctuary for scientific discovery, was now a strategic battleground in a global power struggle. Focus on the development of icebreakers, powerful ships designed to forge paths through the thick sea ice. Imagine the immense hulls of these vessels, their reinforced bows designed to break through the frozen barrier. Hear the deep groan of the ice as it yields to the force of the ship, the churning of the propellers, the spray of icy water against the hull. Visualize the crews navigating through the treacherous ice fields, their skilled hands guiding the ships through the frozen labyrinth. These icebreakers were not just tools for exploration, they were symbols of national strength, capable of projecting power into the most remote and challenging environments. The polar regions, once considered remote and insignificant, became crucial strategic locations. Submarines, hidden beneath the ice, could launch missiles undetected, transforming the Arctic Ocean into a potential theater of war. Imagine the sonar pings echoing through the dark, icy depths, the silent movement of these underwater vessels, the tension of unseen forces at play. Hear the hushed whispers in command centers, the monitoring of radar screens, the constant vigilance in this silent underwater battleground. The Cold War had cast a long, icy shadow over the poles, transforming them into a crucial arena in the global chessboard of power. Visualize the construction of early warning radar stations, their domes piercing the icy horizon, scanning the skies for potential threats. Imagine the constant hum of the radar equipment, the flickering lights on control panels, the watchful eyes of the operators. Hear the crackle of radio communications, the exchange of coded messages, the constant flow of information in this high-stakes game of vigilance. The polar skies, once a source of wonder and scientific study, were now a strategic surveillance zone. Picture the mapping of the seabed beneath the Arctic ice, a crucial task for submarine navigation and underwater warfare. Imagine the sonar pulses mapping the contours of the ocean floor, the creation of detailed charts and maps, the strategic understanding of this hidden underwater landscape. Hear the pings and echoes of the sonar, the quiet hum of computers processing the data, the hushed discussions of naval strategists. The polar oceans, once a realm of mystery and scientific exploration, were now being meticulously charted for military purposes. Focus on the research conducted in the polar regions during the Cold War, much of it with potential military applications. Imagine the study of ice dynamics, the understanding of how ice behaves under pressure, crucial for submarine operations, and the construction of ice-resistant structures. Hear the scientists discussing their findings, the analysis of ice core samples, the calculations of ice thickness and strength. Visualize the testing of materials and equipment in extreme cold, the evaluation of their performance in the harsh polar environment, the constant quest for technological advantage. Even scientific research was now tinged with the shadow of the Cold War. The delicate balance of the polar environment was further disrupted by the testing of nuclear weapons in the atmosphere and underground. Imagine the flashes of light in the distance, the mushroom clouds rising above the horizon, the tremors felt through the ice. Hear the distant rumble of explosions, the crackling of Geiger counters measuring radiation levels, the growing concern about the long-term environmental impact. The pristine polar landscape, once a symbol of untouched nature, was now bearing the scars of human conflict. Shift your focus to the diplomatic efforts to manage the growing tensions in the polar regions. Imagine the meetings between diplomats, the discussions of treaties and agreements, the attempts to establish rules of engagement in this sensitive area. Hear the measured tones of diplomats, the careful wording of agreements, the delicate dance of international relations. The polar regions, once a realm beyond the reach of politics, were now at the forefront of international negotiation. Let these images of the Cold War's icy grip on the polar regions, the subtle tensions, the strategic maneuvering, the quiet pursuit of military advantage, lull you into a deeper state of relaxation. The rhythmic hum of radar equipment, the distant rumble of aircraft, the creaking and groaning of the ice will blend with the rhythm of your own breath, the steady beat of your heart, carrying you further into the tranquil embrace of sleep. The delicate balance of the polar environment, once a place of pristine beauty and scientific wonder, now bore the weight of human anxieties. But amidst the strategic posturing, a new era of scientific discovery was dawning, one that would reveal the secrets locked within the ice itself. Imagine scientists extracting long cylinders of ice cores, from the depths of the polar ice sheets. Visualize the careful handling of these frozen time capsules, their layers holding the secrets of past climates. Hear the whir of the drills penetrating the ice, the clinking of ice chips falling onto the pristine snow, the hushed voices of the scientists marveling at the extracted core. These ice cores, like ancient scrolls, held a record of Earth's history, a chronicle of past temperatures, atmospheric composition, and even volcanic eruptions. Picture scientists in laboratories meticulously analyzing these ice cores layer by layer. Visualize the thin slices of ice under microscopes revealing tiny bubbles of ancient air trapped within. Hear the hum of the laboratory equipment, the quiet click of instruments measuring isotopes, the rustle of scientific papers documenting the findings. These trapped air bubbles, like whispers from the past, allowed scientists to reconstruct the Earth's atmosphere from centuries ago, providing crucial insights into climate change. Imagine graphs and charts slowly taking shape, revealing the cyclical nature of past climate patterns, the ebb and flow of ice ages and warm periods. Hear the murmur of scientific discussions, the sharing of data and interpretations, the gradual piecing together of Earth's climatic puzzle. The polar regions also revealed a surprising abundance of life, thriving in conditions that seemed impossibly harsh. Visualize the vibrant colors of algae blooming beneath the ice, their photosynthetic activity creating an oasis of life in the frigid darkness. Hear the faint crackling sounds of ice crystals forming, the gentle movement of water beneath the frozen surface, the whispers of life persisting in this seemingly barren landscape. Imagine tiny crustaceans, krill, swarming in vast numbers beneath the ice, their movements a silent ballet in the frigid waters. Hear the soft clicks and whistles of marine mammals, seals and whales, communicating beneath the ice, their calls echoing through the underwater realm. These creatures, adapted to the extreme cold and darkness, demonstrated the resilience and adaptability of life on Earth. Imagine researchers diving beneath the ice, exploring this hidden world. Visualize their bulky diving suits, the bubbles rising towards the surface, the beams of their underwater lights illuminating the otherworldly landscape. Hear the muffled sounds of their breathing apparatus, the clicks and whistles of their communication devices, the sense of awe and wonder as they encounter the unique life forms of the polar seas. Picture the robotic submersibles, remotely operated vehicles exploring the deepest trenches of the polar oceans, their cameras capturing images of strange and wonderful creatures. Hear the whirring of the submersible's propellers, the clicking of their cameras, the excited voices of the researchers as they witness these alien landscapes. The polar oceans, once considered a desolate wasteland, were revealed to be teeming with life, a testament to the power of evolution. The study of polar ice also revealed alarming evidence of human impact on the environment. Imagine scientists analyzing ice cores and discovering traces of industrial pollutants, evidence of human activity reaching even the most remote corners of the planet. Hear the concerned discussions about the increasing levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, the implications for global warming, the urgent need for action. Visualize the melting glaciers and ice sheets, the rising sea levels, the changing patterns of weather and climate. Hear the cracking and groaning of the ice as it breaks apart, the crashing waves as icebergs calve into the sea, the warnings of scientists about the potential consequences of inaction. The polar regions, once a symbol of pristine nature, were now bearing witness to the far-reaching effects of human activity. Imagine international collaborations forming, scientists from different countries working together to study the polar regions and address the challenges of climate change. Hear the multilingual discussions, the sharing of data and expertise, the collective effort to understand and protect our planet. Visualize the research stations established in the polar regions, hubs of scientific activity, where researchers from around the world collaborate on critical research projects. Hear the hum of generators powering the research stations, the clatter of equipment being prepared for expeditions, the constant flow of data being transmitted back to laboratories around the world. The polar regions, once a source of international rivalry, were now becoming a focal point for international cooperation. Focus on the mapping of the ocean floor beneath the polar ice, revealing the complex topography of this hidden world. Imagine sonar pulses mapping the contours of the seabed, creating detailed three-dimensional images of underwater mountains, valleys, and plains. Hear the pings and echoes of the sonar, the hum of computers processing the data, the quiet discussions of scientists interpreting the findings. Visualize the discovery of hydrothermal vents, deep sea oases, where hot, mineral-rich water supports unique ecosystems. Hear the hiss and gurgle of the vents, the shimmering water reflecting the light from the submersibles. The wonder of scientists discovering new forms of life in these extreme environments. The polar oceans, once a blank space on the map, were now being revealed in all their complexity and wonder. Let these images of scientific discovery, the meticulous work of researchers, the unveiling of Earth's secrets, lull you deeper into relaxation. The hum of laboratory equipment, the gentle bubbling of hydrothermal vents, the soft whispers of ancient air trapped in the ice, will blend with the rhythm of your own breath, the steady beat of your heart, carrying you further into the tranquil embrace of sleep. The polar oceans, once a blank space on the map, were now being revealed in all their complexity and wonder. But this newfound knowledge brought with it a growing unease, a whisper of change echoing through the frigid air. The very ice that had guarded these secrets for millennia was beginning to tell a new story, a story of a planet in flux. Imagine holding a core of ice, a cylinder of frozen time, and tracing the layers back through centuries. Feel the chill radiating from the ice, its surface smooth and cold against your skin. Hear the faint crackle of tiny air bubbles trapped within, whispers of ancient atmospheres released as the ice melts. See the subtle variations in the ice's density, the delicate bands of color, each a record of past snowfall, temperature fluctuations, and atmospheric composition. Visualize scientists meticulously analyzing these ice cores, carefully slicing thin sections, examining them under microscopes, extracting tiny samples for chemical analysis. Hear the hum of the laboratory equipment, the precise movements of the researchers, the quiet murmur of scientific discourse. The data extracted from these icy archives painted a stark picture of change. Imagine graphs charting the steady rise in atmospheric carbon dioxide, a curve ascending sharply in recent decades. See the maps depicting the shrinking extent of sea ice, the retreating glaciers, the thinning ice sheets. Hear the concerned discussions about the implications of these changes, the potential consequences for global ecosystems, the urgent need for international action. The polar regions, once considered remote and isolated, were now revealed to be inextricably linked to the fate of the entire planet. The melting ice, once a slow, almost imperceptible process, was accelerating. Visualize vast ice sheets calving into the ocean, creating colossal icebergs that drift majestically through the frigid waters. Hear the deep rumble and crack of the ice, the thunderous splash as the icebergs enter the sea, the echoes reverberating through the icy landscape. Imagine time-lapse photography capturing the gradual retreat of glaciers, revealing bare rock and soil where once there was only ice. Hear the gentle trickle of meltwater, forming streams and rivers that carve new pathways through the landscape. The rising sea levels, a consequence of this melting ice, posed a threat to coastal communities around the world. Imagine satellite images showing the changing coastline, the encroaching waters slowly claiming land. Hear the worried voices of coastal residents, the discussions about adaptation and relocation, the growing sense of urgency. The delicate balance of the polar ecosystems was also being disrupted. Visualize polar bears, their thick white fur providing camouflage against the snow and ice, struggling to find suitable hunting grounds as the sea ice shrinks. Hear their mournful calls echoing across the vast expanse of ice and water, a testament to the challenges they face in a changing world. Imagine seals, their sleek bodies adapted for life in the icy waters, hauling out onto shrinking ice floes to rest and give birth to their pups. Hear the plaintive cries of the pups, the barking of the adults, the sounds of life struggling to adapt to a changing environment. The warming waters were also affecting the distribution and abundance of krill, the tiny crustaceans that form the base of the polar food web. Imagine swarms of krill, their translucent bodies shimmering in the dim light beneath the ice, their movements creating a mesmerizing underwater ballet. Hear the faint clicking sounds of their tiny appendages, the gentle whoosh of water as they move through the ocean, the sounds of a vital ecosystem under threat. Visualize scientists studying these changes, tracking the movements of marine animals, monitoring the health of the polar ecosystems, gathering data to understand the complex interplay of factors at play. Hear the clicking of cameras, the whirring of underwater drones, the muffled sounds of researchers communicating beneath the ice. Imagine researchers analyzing data on ocean temperatures, salinity, and currents, piecing together the complex puzzle of how climate change is affecting the polar oceans. Hear the quiet discussions, the sharing of data and insights, the collaborative effort to understand and address these challenges. The polar regions, once a symbol of pristine wilderness, were now a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of our planet and the far-reaching consequences of human activity. But amidst the concern and the urgency, there was also a sense of hope. The growing awareness of the polar region's vulnerability was spurring international cooperation and driving research towards solutions. Imagine international conferences, scientists from around the world gathering to share their findings and discuss strategies for mitigating climate change. Hear the multilingual discussions, the exchange of ideas, the collective effort to find solutions. Visualize researchers developing new technologies for renewable energy, exploring innovative ways to reduce carbon emissions, working tirelessly to create a more sustainable future. Hear the hum of computers processing data, the clatter of laboratory equipment, the quiet determination of scientists dedicated to finding solutions. The polar regions, once a source of wonder and exploration, were now a call to action, a reminder of our shared responsibility to protect our planet. Let the image of scientists collaborating, the steady hum of research equipment, the quiet determination of those working towards a sustainable future, lull you deeper into relaxation. The soft whispers of the wind across the ice, the gentle lapping of waves against the shore, the faint crackling of ice crystals, will blend with the rhythm of your breath, the steady beat of your heart, carrying you further into the tranquil embrace of sleep. The polar regions, these remote sentinels of our planet, whispering secrets of Earth's past and future, are now the focus of a new kind of exploration, one driven not by the thirst for discovery, but by the growing realization of interconnectedness. Imagine the lines of longitude converging at the poles, like threads drawn together, connecting nations and interests in a complex web of geopolitical considerations. Visualize maps of the Arctic, a mosaic of overlapping claims, each nation's boundary extending like fingers towards the North Pole. Hear the hushed discussions in diplomatic circles, the careful negotiation of treaties, the delicate balancing act of international law in these shared spaces. The Arctic Council, a forum for cooperation among Arctic states and indigenous peoples. Hear the measured tones of discussion, the careful weighing of words, the search for common ground in the face of complex challenges. The melting ice, once a barrier, is now a gateway, opening up new possibilities for shipping routes, resource extraction, and strategic positioning. Imagine cargo ships navigating newly opened sea lanes, their hulls cutting through the icy waters, shortening the distance between continents. Hear the low hum of their engines, the gentle slosh of water against the hull, the sounds of global commerce echoing through the once silent Arctic. Visualize seismic surveys mapping the seabed, searching for deposits of oil and gas, the potential riches hidden beneath the ice. Hear the faint pings of sonar, the rhythmic thump of exploration equipment, the echoes of human ambition resonating through the depths. Shift your focus now to the Antarctic, a continent governed by the Antarctic Treaty System, a unique example of international cooperation. Imagine research stations scattered across the icy landscape, flags of different nations fluttering in the wind, a testament to the shared commitment to scientific exploration and peaceful coexistence. Hear the murmur of voices in different languages, the exchange of scientific data, the collaborative spirit of discovery. Visualize scientists studying ice cores, extracting ancient air bubbles trapped within the ice, deciphering the secrets of Earth's climate history. Hear the delicate scraping of ice drills, the quiet hum of laboratory equipment, the steady pursuit of knowledge. But even in this remote and protected environment, the undercurrents of geopolitical tension are perceptible. Imagine overlapping claims on the Antarctic continent, lines drawn on maps representing potential future interests, a silent anticipation of what might be. Hear the whispered discussions about resource potential, the strategic importance of this vast, icy landmass, the subtle interplay of national interests. The Antarctic Treaty, while promoting peace and cooperation, also defers, not resolves, territorial claims. The delicate balance of the Antarctic Treaty System depends on continued cooperation and a shared commitment to preserving the pristine environment. Imagine the vast expanse of the Southern Ocean surrounding Antarctica, teeming with life, a vital component of the global ocean system. Hear the calls of seabirds, the splash of whales breaching the surface, the sounds of a vibrant ecosystem. Visualize fishing vessels plying the waters, their nets harvesting krill and other marine resources. The delicate balance between sustainable fishing and potential overexploitation. Hear the whirring of winches, the splash of nets entering the water, the sounds of human activity intertwined with the natural rhythms of the ocean. The increasing interest in the polar regions, driven by resource potential and strategic considerations, poses new challenges to international cooperation. The melting ice is not just a physical phenomenon, it is a catalyst for geopolitical change, reshaping the map of the world and the relationships between nations. Visualize the intricate dance of international diplomacy, the delicate negotiation of agreements, the ongoing effort to balance national interests with the need for global cooperation. Hear the measured tones of diplomatic discussions, the careful parsing of legal language, the search for solutions that benefit all. The polar regions, once considered remote and irrelevant, are now at the forefront of global concerns. The fate of these icy landscapes is inextricably linked to the fate of the entire planet. The melting ice, the changing climate, the geopolitical implications, these are complex, interconnected issues that demand our attention and our collective action. Imagine a world where international cooperation triumphs over competition, where scientific knowledge guides decision-making, where sustainable practices protect the fragile ecosystems of the polar regions. Hear the voices of scientists, diplomats, and indigenous peoples united in their commitment to finding solutions, their words resonating with hope and determination. Let the image of international collaboration, the sharing of scientific knowledge, the commitment to sustainable practices fill you with a sense of peace and tranquility. The soft whispers of the wind across the ice, the gentle lapping of waves against the shore, the distant calls of seabirds will blend with the rhythm of your breath, carrying you further into the quiet depths of sleep. The polar regions, sentinels of our planet, hold within their icy embrace the secrets of Earth's past and the key to its future. Imagine the vast white expanse stretching out before you, a canvas of snow and ice reflecting the pale light of the sun. Hear the soft crunch of snow underfoot, the whisper of wind across the desolate landscape, the silence broken only by the occasional creak of shifting ice. Feel the crisp, cold air against your skin, a reminder of the raw power of nature. The fate of these icy realms is inextricably linked to the fate of our entire planet. The melting ice, a stark visual of a changing climate, is a call to action, a reminder of our shared responsibility. Visualize the intricate web of international agreements, the delicate threads of diplomacy woven together to protect these fragile ecosystems. The Antarctic Treaty, a beacon of international cooperation, designates Antarctica as a natural reserve devoted to peace and science. Imagine delegates from different nations gathered around a table, their voices measured and calm, engaged in respectful dialogue. Hear the rustle of papers, the soft click of pens, the murmurs of translation as they work together to forge a common path forward. The Commission for the Conservation of Antarctic Marine Living Resources, CCAM-MLR, another testament to international collaboration, manages the marine life surrounding Antarctica. Imagine research vessels plying the Southern Ocean, their labs humming with activity, scientists meticulously collecting data on krill, fish, and other marine organisms. Hear the gentle slosh of water against the hull, the whir of scientific instruments, the quiet conversations of researchers sharing their findings. Feel the cool ocean breeze on your face, the salty tang of the air, the sense of wonder as you witness the delicate balance of life in this remote environment. Shift your focus now to the Arctic Council, a forum where Arctic states, along with representatives of indigenous peoples, address the unique challenges facing the northern polar region. Imagine a circle of faces, each representing a different culture and perspective, their voices blending together in a harmonious exchange of ideas. Hear the rhythmic cadence of indigenous languages, the careful articulation of scientific findings, the shared commitment to finding solutions that benefit both people and the environment. Visualize the vibrant tapestry of life in the polar regions, from the majestic polar bears roaming the Arctic ice to the playful penguins waddling across the Antarctic shores. Hear the roar of a polar bear, the trumpeting calls of penguins, the barks of seals basking on ice floes. Imagine the vibrant colors of the aurora borealis dancing across the night sky, painting the ice with ethereal light. Feel the sense of awe and wonder as you witness the resilience of life in these extreme environments. But the polar regions are not immune to the impacts of human activity. Climate change, driven by greenhouse gas emissions, is causing the ice to melt at an alarming rate. Imagine glaciers calving into the sea, the thunderous crash of ice against water, the slow but relentless rise in sea levels. Hear the crackling and groaning of the ice, the splash of melting water, the subtle shift in the soundscape of the polar regions. The melting ice opens up new opportunities for shipping, resource extraction, and tourism, but these activities also pose risks to the fragile polar ecosystems. Imagine cargo ships navigating newly opened sea lanes, their engines humming, their wakes disturbing the stillness of the icy waters. Hear the distant drone of aircraft overhead, the rumble of heavy machinery on land, the increasing presence of human activity in these once pristine environments. Protecting the future of the polar regions requires a multifaceted approach, combining international cooperation, scientific research, and sustainable practices. Visualize scientists studying ice cores, analyzing satellite data, developing models to predict future climate scenarios. Hear the quiet hum of computers, the click of keyboards, the thoughtful discussions of researchers seeking to understand the complex interplay of factors affecting the polar regions. Imagine policymakers working together to implement regulations that limit greenhouse gas emissions, protect biodiversity, and promote sustainable development. Hear the measured tones of debate, the careful crafting of legislation, the commitment to finding solutions that balance economic interests with environmental protection. Visualize communities around the world embracing renewable energy sources, reducing their carbon footprint, and adopting sustainable lifestyles. Hear the whir of wind turbines, the gentle gurgle of hydropower plants, the quiet hum of solar panels converting sunlight into energy. Feel the sense of hope and optimism as individuals and communities take action to address climate change. Protecting the polar regions is not just about preserving these unique environments for future generations. It is about safeguarding the health of our entire planet. The polar regions play a crucial role in regulating global climate patterns, ocean currents, and sea levels,